Hi, and welcome to this latest video in a series explaining the law of attraction from eternalliberty.com. My name is Dan, and I want to help you live the life that you desire. Chapter 2. Befriend your bestest friend. One of the greatest paradoxes of your physical senses is that your eyes actually show you what you believe, not what you see. Mike Dooley. In Chapter 1, we saw that happiness is a choice. It is a decision to be happy you can make every day. By the law of attraction, if you are happy, you will attract even more happiness into your life. We also saw that all of us are using the law of attraction all the time in our lives. Therefore, to manifest all your wishes and dreams using the law of attraction, you must choose to be happy every day. If you wish to change your life, if you wish to attract what you desire into your life, you must also inform your subconscious mind to alter the direction your life is heading. We saw that one of the main functions of the subconscious mind is to keep your life the same all day, every day. This is your mind's default setting. We saw that it is your autopilot because it does everything possible to keep your life heading in the same direction. To change the course of your life requires conscious, deliberate effort on your part to instruct your autopilot to change the course of your life in the new direction, one that you desire. Choosing to be happy every day is one way to achieve this, as we saw in the previous chapter, and will produce an immediate and positive effect in your life. In this chapter, we will understand how the different parts of your mind work together and how this is crucial to using the law of attraction to manifest the life you desire. Then your subconscious mind will not only become your friend, it will become your bestest friend forever, a powerful ally in having all your wishes fulfilled. So read on and learn how to harness the power of your subconscious mind. In the early days of learning how to use the law of attraction, it is easy to think of your subconscious mind as being anything other than your friend. Your subconscious is extremely powerful, but it will resist any attempt to change your life. Consequently, to change your life, and therefore change your mind, we need to look at how the mind works so that you can understand how to train your subconscious to help you. We first need to understand more about the mind and how it works. To help do this, I will introduce two fundamental concepts that are referred to frequently in the book. Firstly, there is your outer world, being the outer physical world. This is your immediate environment around you, that you observe and communicate with through your primary human senses of sight, sound, touch, smell, and taste. Secondly, there is your inner world that you experience inside your mind. These are the inner feelings, emotions, thoughts, and memories inside your mind that you are conscious of, or what we may also refer to as your consciousness. Consider this illustration. Have you seen a magician perform magic tricks or illusionary effects on stage or on TV? The magician will often divert the audience's attention away from what he or she is really doing and directs their eyes towards something else that seems crucial to the trick, but of course it is not. This is what happens naturally in every moment of our lives, except it is done subconsciously. Our subconscious mind diverts our attention to what we need to observe in our outer physical world to survive in that particular moment, and away from what we do not need to observe, depending on what it understands is best for you. The subconscious mind determines what is best for you based on a set of rules that it learned about you at a very early age as you developed as a child. These are your beliefs. More on this shortly. There is so much you do not see, hear, touch, feel, or taste because the subconscious mind has elected not to show it to you. It is indeed startling when you realize later on in this chapter just how much is going on in our outer world that we are not consciously aware of. The important point to know at this stage is that the reality of life that we observe in our outer world is predetermined by the subconscious mind, just like in what the magician's really doing whilst we are distracted. So what actually is the human mind? Contrary to what many consider to be popular belief, there are not 2 but 3 levels to the human mind. The conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the unconscious mind. All 3 parts of the mind work together to keep your internal bodily functions working properly, including the 5 human senses which determine how you observe events, people, and circumstances in your outer physical world. Sigmund Freud, the famous Austrian psychologist, was probably the first to popularize the concept of 3 levels of mind into mainstream society. Even now, though, his theories are disputed in psychology circles because they are hard to prove. We can still, however, use this model to make valid judgments on how the mind works. The best way I have seen to illustrate the concept of the 3 parts to the human mind is by a triangle. Imagine at the upper tip of the triangle is our conscious mind. It occupies a small portion of space at the top, like the proverbial iceberg showing above the water, and represents approximately 10% of our mind's capability. Below the conscious mind, there is the middle section that Freud called the preconscious, or as we will refer to it, our subconscious mind. It is much larger than the conscious mind, and accounts for approximately 50% of our mind's capability. The section below the other 2 sections is our unconscious mind. It occupies the whole width of the base of the triangle and completes the remaining 40% of our mind's capability. It is vast, deep, and largely inaccessible to us. How the different parts of the mind work together. Your conscious mind is what most people associate with who you are, or what you might call your character, because you use your conscious mind to make decisions. The decisions and choices you make about yourself and life determines your character. Analogous to your conscious mind is the captain of a ship standing at the bridge giving out commands. Whilst it is true that the captain is in command of the ship, the reality is that the engine and rudder below deck, which drive and steer the ship with a specific speed and direction, are controlled by the subconscious mind. The engine will continue to drive the ship at the same speed, and the rudder will continue to steer the ship in the same direction, unless they receive specific, qualified, and understandable instructions to change. You continue to run on autopilot unless commanded otherwise. Only if the engine and rudder receive orders made through the correct channels and in the correct language will they be understood and obeyed. So it is with a subconscious mind. You have to communicate using the correct channel and language to consciously change your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is in communication with the outer physical world through the 5 human senses: sight, sound, touch, smell, and taste, which are constantly picking up signals from your environment. Think about it. If you did not have these senses, you would have no idea what is going on in your outer world. Your subconscious mind selects which information received by the physical senses is passed on to your conscious mind, or in other words, what information you become aware of. The subconscious runs programs stored in the unconscious mind to determine what is best for you, and the information selected is passed to your conscious mind via neural pathways in the brain. These programs and pathways are created mainly in the very early years of your human existence and depend mainly on your environment and experiences during upbringing. How the subconscious mind processes the information received by your physical senses is a very important part of learning how to use the law of attraction, which will be covered later. The unconscious mind is the storehouse of all memories, past experiences, and programs run by the subconscious. This includes any past memories that have simply become consciously forgotten, that are no longer important to us, and those that have been repressed through trauma. It is from these memories and past experiences that our beliefs and habits and behaviors are formed. Scientists know that the brain receives and processes approximately 400 billion bits of information per second. To give you some idea just how much information that is, consider this. It will take approximately 600,000 average-sized books to print 400 billion zeros. And that is just for 1 second. Staggering. Now, what actually is this 400 billion bits of information a second? The only way you have any idea, understanding, or perception of your environment, your outer physical world, or even the universe for that matter, is through the information received by your 5 human senses. This is how much sensory data on average each of our senses passes to the brain. Sight, 10 million bits per second. Touch, 1 million bits per second. Sound, 100,000 bits per second. Smell, 100,000 bits per second. And taste, 1,000 bits per second. But, and it is a huge but, we are only ever consciously aware of just 2,000 bits of this data per second in total. When I say consciously aware, I mean what we are aware of in our conscious mind. The human senses send 400 billion bits per second to the brain for processing. Yet the conscious mind receives only a rather puny 2,000 bits per second. It appears that a tremendous amount of filtering is taking place if 400 billion bits is reduced to only 2,000. In percentage terms, only 0.0000005% of the total sensory data known to the subconscious mind is made known to you consciously. Now, the precise value of this figure will be open to scientific conjecture, but even so, there is no doubt in its significance. Now, let me repeat this again in case you missed it. You are only aware of 1/2 of 1/1,000,000th of a percent of the data collected by your senses. But the intriguing question is, how does this filtering take place? What happens to all this data? How many times have you driven home in your car from work, travelling the same route every night, and then said to yourself, I do not even remember driving for most of that journey. It is your subconscious mind taking over the driving for you, whilst your conscious mind is distracted by wording that email you forgot to send. You drove your car on autopilot. You stopped automatically at every red light, hardly being aware of it. Once driving becomes a habit, we do it without really thinking about it, because we develop programs in the mind to help us. Your subconscious mind probably did over 95% of the driving. If we are consciously aware of only 0.0000005% of the entire sensory data received, then it is fair to conclude that we observe not the real world, but a drastically condensed version of the world. We believe we are seeing what is really there, but we are not. You observe only a perception of your physical world. If you imagine your life as a movie, then you are consciously aware of only a tiny 0.0000005% of the entire movie. Your friend is seeing another 0.0000005%, which in all probability is a very different version of the same movie that you saw. No wonder people have disagreements. So how is this 0.0000005% selected? The subconscious mind delivers to the conscious mind only that information the subconscious deems necessary for your survival at every instance. This filtering is the output of programs stored in your unconscious mind, which are based on your beliefs and habits learnt mainly in childhood. It does all this behind the scenes so you can perform your daily work uninhibited. The good news is that it is possible to change both your habits and these programs stored in the mind. What impact does all this have on using the law of attraction to fulfill our deepest desires? Well, hold on to that thought for a little longer. The more you understand this chapter, the easier it will be to learn how to manifest your dreams and have all your wishes fulfilled using the law of attraction. Your subconscious mind filters the information received from the 5 human senses using default programs trained and written into the unconscious mind mainly before the age of about 7. Up to the age of 7, your subconscious is learning how you respond physically and emotionally to your immediate environment, which is primarily your home. This is why your parents or guardians who raised you have a major role in your behavioral responses and habits formed as a child. For example, as a child we usually develop a fear of fire. We may learn the hard way that touching fire hurts and burns. So we learn and our subconscious instills in us a fight or flight program ready to respond immediately to the next similar occasion when we are faced with a fire. Often is the case, especially in an emergency, we are not even consciously aware of how we respond to situations. It seems automatic. All these programs you learn, mainly by the age of 7, are run by your subconscious mind to filter all the sensory data received from the 5 human senses. It is these programs your subconscious uses to determine which information is filtered and passed on to your conscious mind for you to observe and analyze your outer world. It is these programs that determine which 0.000005% of data is selected. It is these programs, therefore, that determine which version of the outer world you observe. Your subconscious runs these programs all day, every day, to make sense of all the data received from your 5 physical senses to ensure your daily survival. The logic employed here is that if it worked in the past, and therefore you survived, then the same response will help you get through similar situations next time, no matter how misguided, painful, and unhelpful the outcome may seem to you personally. Your conscious mind, however, does not communicate with your subconscious mind in words. Your subconscious mind communicates all the results of its data processing to your conscious mind via your imagination, feelings, sensations and reflexes, images and dreams. We communicate with the subconscious using our emotions. So it is the emotions you felt as a child that determined what your subconscious mind learned about you in those first 7 years, that therefore determine these default programs which were written into your subconscious. It is important to accept this last point, even if you do not fully understand the biology. The human brain has often been likened to a computer, but is simply an organ like every other organ in the body. The mind itself, however, may be compared to the software, programs and memory management system inside a computer, though is far, far more complex and powerful than any computer ever made. Your subconscious mind can be likened to the RAM, or random access memory, in your computer. RAM is the place in a computer where programs and data that are currently in use are kept so they can be reached easily and quickly. It is much faster than other types of memory, such as the hard disk or CD-ROM. Your subconscious works in the same way. Any recent memories, including data, are stored there for quick recall when needed, such as your telephone number or the name of a person you just met. It also holds your current programs that you run every day, such as your current recurring thoughts, behaviors, habits, and feelings. Your unconscious mind is like the hard disk drive in your computer. When you install new software onto a computer, you usually load it onto the hard disk for access by the RAM. The unconscious mind is a long-term storage place for all your memories and programs that have been learned and installed since birth for access by the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is far different, however. It is virtually impossible to make any rational comparison of the conscious mind with any part of a computer. The conscious mind is the center of logic, decision-making, and creativity in the human mind. There are three powerful functions your fully developed conscious performs. Its ability to direct your focus or attention. Its ability to use imagination, whether it is real or not. Its ability to make decisions, whether right or not. The conscious mind in the human body is far, far more advanced than any computer. Take the example of driving your car home again. You can program the shortest route home in your satellite navigation system, a computer, following a rules-based approach. At one particular junction, it may instruct you to turn left. Your conscious mind, then, may or may not turn left. Your conscious mind could quite easily decide to turn right without any logic or reason. Your satellite navigation system has to instruct you to turn left because it follows its own rules. Your conscious mind may receive a hunch and decide to turn right. Alternatively, your conscious mind may decide to create a new route and submit drawings for the new road to be built to the local authority. A little far-fetched, but the point is made. Your conscious mind can focus, imagine, and make decisions based on logic or act on hunches. It does not have to follow any rules, nor is it limited to any previous experience. These are all powerful ways in which our mind helps us use the law of attraction, as we will see later. Your subconscious is the engine of your mind. Your subconscious mind is your short-term memory and plays an important role in the day-to-day functioning of the vital organs in your body. People often erroneously think that the subconscious is in charge and we are at its mercy. In fact, it is the complete opposite. Your conscious mind is in control. However, it is not as easy as just changing your subconscious mind and your entire life will be changed. In most cases, your default subconscious programs have too much power attached to them for you to change them at will. The subconscious mind has a very, very strong will of its own. It is your autopilot. The important thing to remember for later in the book is that the subconscious only understands the language of emotions. You can only communicate to the subconscious mind through repeated use of your emotions. A final but very important fact is that the subconscious mind does not sleep. It continues to operate even when you get into bed and fall asleep. It is due to your subconscious mind that your heart, brain, and all other organs continue to function and keep you alive as you sleep. The subconscious is constantly on work and is far more aware of your surroundings than you realize. We have seen above just how much data the subconscious mind processes every second of every day. If your conscious mind had to deal with all that information, you will very easily become overwhelmed and not be able to perform anything. Unconscious is the term usually referred to that part of the mind that is out of reach of our consciousness. It should not be confused with the medical term for unconscious, which basically means knocked out. The unconscious is the source of all these programs learned and written into us, usually by the age of 7, that your subconscious uses. It is the place where all your memories of your experiences since birth have been stored. It is from these memories and experiences that your beliefs, habits and behaviours are formed and reinforced over time. We are normally unable to recall anything in our unconscious mind without some special technique or form of intervention. Certain psychoanalytical methods can bring back these memories, such as hypnosis, or it can be triggered by a particular event, say a scent, a familiar place, etc. The subconscious, on the other hand, holds memories that we can choose to remember. The memories are closer to the surface and more easily accessible with a little focus. Our 5 human senses enable us to investigate the world around us. But these senses do more than just identify with the physical world we live in. Our senses play an integral role in our emotional processing, learning, and recall. Put simply, our emotional reactions are guided by sensory information. Consider a cup of coffee, for example. I love a black coffee. For me, this is linked to a feeling of joy, energy, positivity, and to being essentially a hug in a cup. These associations can be triggered by seeing a cup of coffee, touching a hot cup, smelling it, and even hearing a coffee machine grinding beans. These triggers are based on memories of emotions from past experiences stored in the unconscious mind. Think about if you heard a fire alarm or you can smell smoke. These sensory cues mean it is time to escape to your nearest exit. Our emotions and senses are tightly interwoven. What we hear, see, taste, smell, and touch can provide us with information on how to feel. In the other direction, how we feel is heavily influenced by what our senses are taking in. Yet, as human beings, we know so little about our feelings and our emotional responses. But we do know a great deal about our senses, or our sensory response system. We know much about our 5 human senses: sight, sound, touch, feel, and taste. We also know these senses are always switched on. By that I mean, even if we are not consciously aware of smelling things, for example, we are always smelling things. The nose is always working. The same is true for our sight, touch, taste, and hearing, even if we are not aware of it. Our sensory response system will make us aware at a moment's notice when something is strong enough to grab our attention. A delicious food, the beautiful scent of a flower, the prickliness of a cactus, and every other sensation that grabs us. Our senses are always on, always working in the background of our awareness until something is significant enough to grab our attention. The same holds true for our emotional responses. Our emotions, or if you like, the responses of joy, hope, anger, fear, and sadness, for example, are always on. Those feelings are always with us, and they are ready to intensify at a moment's notice. Our emotional responses are important for us to determine what is good for us and what is bad for us, or to recognize positive experiences and negative experiences. You see, our subconscious puts labels on our emotional responses based on past learning and experiences. Belief is the acceptance that something exists or is true, whether there is proof or not. Our brains are wired depending upon the belief systems and perceptions of life that we learned at an early age. If we think negative thoughts, our neurons relating to pain and misery will conjoin with each other and wire themselves into a pattern of negative thinking. Any experience we have attached a negative belief system to sends an electrical message to our brains which recognizes this message as a victim thought which equates to a less than thought that we have about ourselves and our life. The vast majority of these negative beliefs and habits are formed by the age of 7, as we saw earlier. We quite literally observe in our outer world what we believe we will observe. We instantaneously respond with joy when we experience a loved one because we believe it is a good, happy thing. We respond with anger if someone rejects us because we believe it is a bad, unhappy thing. We experience a sad or fearful response when we hear of something tragic happening to somebody we care about. You will also trigger an emotional response according to your belief systems if you were to only imagine some event or circumstance. Using your imagination. A very important ability of the conscious mind is the use of imagination. Your mind can literally imagine something that is totally new and unique, something that you have never seen, heard, or physically experienced before. Now, the really interesting fact here is that the subconscious cannot distinguish between that which the conscious mind imagines and that which is real. Further, whatever arises in your mind by conscious imagination and focused upon will also bring up the same emotions and feelings you normally associate with that experience in your mind. For example, you can daydream about winning the lottery, or perhaps look forward to being with that someone special you love. And you will feel the joy these thoughts conjure up in your mind, even though you know intellectually it was not physically happening at that moment. But your subconscious is unaware that it is not really happening to you, and it offers those feelings and emotions associated with these thoughts. This ability of your conscious mind to direct your imagination and focus is one of the most important tools you have to create positive and powerful change in your life. But how do you do that? The actual skill of directing your imagination and focus is quite simple. It all comes down to you making a choice. Deciding how you will think and what thoughts you allow into your mind will determine your destiny. It can literally be used for good or evil, for constructive or destructive means. A most important fact is this: everything that human beings have ever created was first imagined by somebody. Imagination is truly a marvelous gift we have. It can be used to create some amazing results and is key to using the law of attraction. Your subconscious mind is your bestest friend. Maybe after reading this chapter, you are not clear why this is so. Let's look at this before we close the chapter. Your subconscious mind does not like change and tries as best it can to resist any form of change in your life. It sees you as already perfect as you are. Why does it do this? We can never be sure of the exact reason, as much of the workings of the subconscious mind is a mystery. Instead, look at it the other way around. What if your subconscious mind changed you every day? One day you may decide to quit your job on the spot. The next day you walk out on your loved one. The next day you change your diet. There would be chaos every day of your life. Equally and unconsciously on your part, your heart keeps functioning, your lungs keep breathing, and your digestive system processes food and drink you consume. These functions are performed by your subconscious mind and continue to be formed as often as necessary without any conscious control or thought on your part. This is why your subconscious mind is your best friend. It literally keeps you alive. We have also seen that the subconscious mind is like our autopilot. It will only change the course or direction of your life if instructed to in the appropriate manner. If your life is not heading in the direction you want it to, then it is necessary to redirect your life and hence your subconscious mind in the direction you do want it to be heading in. We will look at this later in the book. For now, consider this. If your life is heading in the right direction for you, then you would not want your mind to change course. It is that simple. And your mind will get you to your desired destination as quickly as possible. So it is your best friend. You were born with sophisticated and evolved senses in that you can see, hear, feel, taste and smell your experiences in the outer world through your 5 human senses. Your emotions will help you understand and define these experiences as you are feeling in your inner world at any given point in time. The vast majority of us, however, have not been taught how to use our senses or emotions in the way they were intended to be used. Further, the most sophisticated form of sensory information you use to understand your outer world, and yet the form of sense we know so little about, is your 6th sense. Your 6th sense will aid you to identify what action or task you need to perform in the next step to manifesting your desires. You will sense a hunch or a gut feeling, usually in your stomach. It is no coincidence that the sympathetic system, which is the organ of the subconscious mind that activates the fight or flight response, has its centre at the back of the stomach, known as the solar plexus. Summary. We saw in this chapter that there are 2 worlds to everybody, their inner world and their outer world. What you observe in your outer world at every moment is a tiny subset of data collected by the 5 human senses, which is determined by your subconscious mind. Programs learned and written into your mind by the age of 7, which form your belief systems, determine what you observe in your outer world. We are only ever consciously aware of a tiny condensed version of our outer world. We quite literally observe what we believe we observe. The good news is that our beliefs can be changed. What we observe in our outer world can trigger emotions in our inner world based on memories from past experiences stored in the unconscious mind. Our emotions and senses are inextricably linked, and we will delve much deeper into this later in the book when we learn how to use the law of attraction. Indeed, we also saw that the emotions are the language of the subconscious mind. You communicate with your subconscious mind through your emotions. The conscious mind can imagine people, events and circumstances, and the subconscious mind will give you feelings and emotions in association with these thoughts, no matter whether they are true or untrue. To use the law of attraction means using your emotions to communicate with your subconscious mind.